Hello, beautiful dreamers. Thank you for coming onto my Patreon page. It's always nice to do a little podcast for you so that you could center your day and gain understanding into the changing times and energy work in general, and how God and the angelics and the spirit world help us each and every day through our troubles. So we do have troubles. So let's talk about the wounded ego and the troubles it could cause. So this is about imprints that we have had for a very long time. We've had imprints on this lifetime in which our parents and our coworkers and our friends and family see us a certain way, and then behaviors are imprinted on us, judgments are made, um, experiences become painful, interactions become disturbances. So this is all has to do with the wounded ego. And how that happens is that we give a lot of attention to lower energies, which are judgment, pain, suffering, anger, emotional disturbances, ignorance, upset, all those lower emotions that trigger us. So we get triggered quite often by the wounded ego. And inside you is a space in which I call the access point, and there's information in my other podcast about it, in which it's a very calm space inside you in the area. Sometimes it's a little lower into the abdomen area, but it's a very grounded place. And it's actually our connection to God and the divine source energy that we need to absorb. So there's two things happening in the world right now. One is actually a little stronger than the other, but hopefully in time that will change. When you change and you gain your access point and it becomes stronger within you, you'll be able to absorb more of God's light. But right now we're doing a lot of absorption from the negative side of our ego personality, of humanity's pain and suffering, of the energies of disturbance and upset. So, what I'd like to see if you could do is just gain an understanding about your ego, which is an egoic structure that causes pain and suffering, basically. So, if you could look at the ego as just a access point to pain and suffering, you will watch it a little closer. You will see what it's doing. It mostly comes in the mental body and starts to think at you, so a lot of people think it's their own thoughts. It's really not, but it gets very complicated. So even if you wanted to look at it as your own, no thought that is truly from your access point and connection to God is going to say anything but the most loving, kind, wonderful things to you. So the ego, the wounded ego that's connected to the dark influence, will only really tell you bad things. It won't tell you good things. It will spin you. It will spin you away from your access point. It'll spin you away from God's source. So it'll spin you. And you have to be extra careful that when it starts to spin, you control that spin. You don't allow that to happen, and you sink deeper into your access point. That is by breath work. That is by gaining an understanding that that is not you, but pulling you into humanity's disturbance, which humanity's disturbance is quite high, and you find your way back. So if you could find your way back, think of it as a merry-go-round, or you could look at it as a circle, however you want, but look at it as like a merry-go-round that spins, right? And spins and spins, right? And that's how the wounded ego is, just keep spinning you around and around and around. There's got to be a time when you say to yourself, please, self, don't do that anymore because that is causing me pain. All right. And then you learn, as I try and teach my clients, and I try and teach here on the Patreon page, you learn how to center and balance your energy, your awareness into your true self. And that true self is your connection to God and the angelics and the spirit world. Okay, in form. People will say heaven on earth. Yes, heaven has come to earth, but we have to actually absorb the energy of heaven on earth. If we're not absorbing the energy of heaven on earth, we're actually absorbing the wounded ego energies that humanity has imprinted in their fabric. So each and every person, billions of people across the globe, have a wounded ego that is imprinting consistently pain and suffering into their energetic fabric. What I'm teaching is for you to remove yourself from there, enter into your access point inside yourself. And then what you do is you absorb God's energy in. It's calm, it's loving, it's kind. And then when the wounded ego comes to look at you and say, what are you doing over there? You're not supposed to be calm. You're not supposed to be happy. You're not supposed to be moving forward in your energetic journey and healing. Um, then you'll be like, yes, that's not true. So whatever is happening over there, you can actually speak and identify it as the wounded ego that does not have any control over you and cannot entertain your energetic fabric because you're connected to God. Now, if you could manage this, which I'm sure you can, or you would be on my page, um, you could learn to manage it, but you have to put in the time and the energy and the understanding that the wounded ego is out there. Let's look at the wounded ego is out there somewhere, and your connection to your access point and God and the divine source energy is inside you. Okay? So one is outside you, one is inside you. You can't be both inside and outside at the same time without really disturbing your energy fabric, right? So no disturbance in the energy fabric. Keep the wounded ego outside of self, okay? Let it activate. I have another podcast that talks about coexisting. Go take a look at that. If you're new to my Patreon page, let that be out there, coexist with that as you continually drop into your access point and your connection to God. You could do that by the breath. You can actually close your eyes, and you could do this little exercise anytime. Close your eyes, envision through your imagination a waterfall, and stand under the waterfall. And then what you're going to do is just imagine the waterfall going all through your body, through every cell of your body, every fabric, energetic fabric you have. Send it into your neurotransmitters and into your throat area and down into your cells and into your lungs, into your stomach and your heart. Okay. Put it down into your pelvic region and your knees and down to your feet into the floor. Okay. And just let that continually flow through you. And I'm going to end this podcast. However, I want you to continually, for the next 5 minutes, continue to close your eyes, stand under the waterfall of blue, crystal clear water, and let it move from your head to your feet, head to your feet, and let it be absorbed by your cells so that you can gain a greater understanding. Okay, take good care. Stay 5 minutes at least. All right. I'll see you soon.